What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys my 5,000 mile review and answering the question, should you buy an Elantra N? Stay tuned. Alright guys, so I wanted to make a video and update you on give some updated thoughts and feedback on what it's been like owning the Elantra N and daily driving this vehicle, and also kind of answering the question or just helping you guys determine whether you should buy one of these cars if you're looking for a new car, especially if you're looking for a new vehicle in this segment. So I'm just going to start from the beginning. I took delivery back on January the 19th, so it's been a little over 5 months now that I've owned the car. I actually have a little over 6,000 miles on the car now. Been meaning to make this video for a couple weeks, but just haven't gotten around to it until now. So I have 6,133 miles, and it's been great. I really don't have any complaints. I don't regret buying this car at all. I've loved every minute of it, of driving it. This is my daily driver, so I wanted to just kind of provide some feedback of now having the car for a little while and living with it, of just what it's been like. So, alright, so I'll start with kind of the exterior and the styling of the car. I love the way it looked when I first got it. My first impressions were that it was just a really good looking vehicle, and I thought it looked a lot better than the pictures. The styling has just grown on me ever since. I think the car just has a really unique design, and the body lines down the side of the vehicle just really give it an aggressive and unique look. The paint has been okay so far. I haven't had too many issues with it. I have complained about it just being light and just kind of soft, I guess is a better word, where it's can be very easily scratched or chipped. I don't really have too many paint chips on the front of the car thus far, but just when you kind of wash the vehicle, you got to be just extremely careful, because you can very easily get scratches and swirls all over the car. If you're running it through a machine, I couldn't even imagine what the paint would look like. Moving on to the interior, it's the same kind of thing. I really liked the interior of the car from the pictures and the videos that I saw before buying it. That was a big reason that I bought this car instead of some of the other cars in this segment, is I love the way the interior is laid out. The infotainment center is great. It's super responsive. All the stuff that's in it, and the N mode and the customization, it's just all a really well done package. The seats are great. They're definitely a little bit tight when I first got the car, but they kind of break in, and as you sit in them and you kind of work them in a little bit, and they're excellent seats. They still are tight, but they're very comfortable. They hold you snug, especially when you're ripping it around some corners or whatever. You're not gonna be sliding all over the place in these seats, and they're holding up great as far as the materials, all that good stuff. So yeah, just really love the interior of this car. All right, moving on to the important stuff. What's it been like daily driving the Elantra N? It's been excellent. I've loved every second of it. Like I've already said, it is a fantastic driving car. So much fun to drive. It's fast. It handles great. It can be comfortable if you want it. It can be aggressive if you want it. It's just a very good driving vehicle. All right, so the engine, obviously a 2-liter turbo, makes 286 horsepower when you use the NGS, 285 foot-pounds of torque. It pulls hard. It's got plenty of power. It's very quick. In my initial review, I kind of said there was not a kind of like when the boost hits moment. In terms of at a certain RPM, you get this huge surge of power or anything like that. And I still kind of stand by that to a certain extent, but I think what I've noticed is there's just a huge difference in terms of throttle input, between 50% and 75% throttle, and between 75% throttle and 100% throttle, full throttle. It's insane, the difference. And of course you're probably thinking, well, duh, there's a big difference between 50% throttle and 100% throttle, and there is, but it's just the way that the power is delivered between that, 50% half throttle and full throttle. It's insane, and that's what I think is super fun about this car, because when you do go full throttle, it will throw you back in the seat for sure. Or when you're using the launch control, it will put you back in your seat. The exhaust in this car is excellent. When you put it in the N mode, it's just the perfect balance of loud with the pop pops and the bangs and all that stuff is awesome. But at the same time, if you don't want that, you can put it in normal mode or eco mode and kind of have a more tame exhaust, which I think that's really nice. But me personally, I love driving around in N mode. That's how I drive it pretty much every day, all the time. I love hearing the exhaust. I think it sounds great both inside and out. So the steering and the steering feel are really, really good. It's very direct. It's very responsive. Now in the normal and the eco mode, it can be a little bit light for my liking, or kind of floaty, which I guess you would kind of expect in those modes. That's kind of the point. It's not supposed to be super heavy. Now when you put it in the N mode, it definitely gets heavier, and you can kind of fine tune it how you want in the N performance settings, but it's really good no matter what setting you have it in. It's very responsive, it's quick, it's going to go where you want the car to go. You don't have to put very much input in to get the car to go left or right, whatever you're trying to do. It handles great in corners, things like that. Now my personal preference, I would like it to be a little bit heavier in the N mode, especially like when you turn it all the way up, but that's just my personal preference. I think I would like to see it a touch heavier, but outside of that, it's a really good steering rack. Suspension is just like the steering, it's great. It's stiff when you want it to be, and it can be a little bit lighter when you have it in the normal and the eco mode. The car feels very planted in the corners, and when you put it in N mode, it definitely gets stiffer, but it's nothing that's going to beat you up or that you can't drive every day. Because like I said, when you get it into corners and you throw it around a little bit, the suspension handles it really, really well. Moving on to probably my favorite part of this car, and that is the transmission. I have the 8-speed dual clutch transmission, and it is outstanding. Like, honestly, seriously, it is so good. When you have it in the normal eco mode, whatever, and you're just driving around, letting it do its thing, you don't feel the car shifting at all. It's crazy. Now, I drive it in the N mode, and I drive it with the paddles, or I manually shift it pretty much always, just because I kind of like driving the car that way, and it's just ridiculous. And I don't know if you can hear it right now as I'm speeding up, but it shifts so quickly. And when you have the power shift on and you're going wide open throttle, those shifts are unbelievable. Just the thrust that you get, it's continuous power. You don't feel any drop off, you don't feel any lag. There's no lag between when you hit the paddle, it downshifts. When you hit the paddle, it will blip up. When you're shifting in between gears as you're accelerating, you hit the paddle, it's shifting. It's so fast, and it's so much fun, and I really think that's, like I said, it's my favorite part of the car, but I think that's what contributes to making this car so much fun to drive, is the lightning fast shifts from the dual clutch automatic. So the drivetrain in this car, obviously front wheel drive, does have the E-LSD, the electronic limited slip, so that definitely helps. Not really any torque steer. I've not really noticed much torque steer at all. I have noticed a little bit of torque hop, or wheel hop, excuse me. During a couple launches, you get it a little bit, and especially if the road is wet and you try to give it a lot of throttle in lower gears, you will get a little bit of wheel hop. And coming from a rear-wheel drive car and not really ever having a front-wheel drive performance car, I've never experienced wheel hop. So the first couple times it happens, you almost feel like you're braking shit or something. It's kind of weird, but outside of that, like I said, you don't get it a ton. Really no torque steer at all, even during hard acceleration. And one thing I really like about the front-wheel drive is it handles really good as you're coming in and out of corners. It's kind of a different experience than rear-wheel drive. With rear-wheel drive, obviously, if you're going in and out of a corner and you give it too much throttle or whatever, the back is going to want to try to step out. Whereas I feel like with the front-wheel drive, as you're kind of rolling into the throttle as you're coming out of a corner, it kind of pulls you through the corner. It's I don't know if that makes sense. Now you do get a little bit of understeer. I have noticed that, where it'll kind of push sometimes if you give it too much throttle through a corner, but nothing crazy or nothing that you couldn't manage. And overall, I would say I have gotten used to it. It has taken a little while to get used to, but I've definitely gotten used to it now, and I don't really miss the rear-wheel drive. It's not really that big of a deal for me. I don't mind the front wheel drive. Brakes in the car are really good. They're firm. They have really good stopping power. Really good pedal feel. They can be a little tricky to modulate sometimes. You just kind of get them warmed up, but once you get them warmed up, they're really good. One thing I don't like is they are extremely dusty. I mean, mean, what are you going to do? Performance brakes, they're kind of like that. Moving on to the N performance modes, the launch control, the NGS, it's all awesome. The launch control is great. It's super easy to use. Kind of once you get the hang of it, you can dial it in whatever RPM, anywhere from 2,500 up to, I believe, 3,500. You can do it through the N pages and the infotainment center. All the gauges that you have access to in there are very cool as well. The NGS is cool. You don't really feel too much of a difference in terms of power. There's no like dramatic difference when you hit the button, but like I said in other videos, it's cool. You hit the button, a little thing comes up that you have the extra boost for 20 seconds or whatever. So this is a cool little feature. The practicality and the kind of the daily drivability of this car, I still stand by being excellent. It's a four-door sedan. You have plenty of space, plenty of trunk space. You can get all the groceries you're ever going to need, golf clubs, whatever. You're going to be able to fit them back there. And then just the overall package of this car, when you look at it for what you're getting for $35,000, I mean, it's so much, and it's so hard to compete with. I mentioned all of the performance things and stuff like that, but at the same time too, I've gone on a couple long road trips and averaged 32 miles a gallon, which is just crazy that you can get all of that in one car, where you can have quick 0 to 60 times, good performance, good handling car, all the practicality, good gas mileage when you want it. It's just a great driving car. It's just a great car overall. So should you buy one? Should you buy an Elantra N? If you're looking for a car in this segment, the kind of the mid-size sedan segment, performance sedan, whatever, I think absolutely yes. You should definitely at least consider it, because when you look at the other competitors, when I kind of think of cars that I was kind of cross shopping, I think of the Kia K5 GT, the WRX, the Volkswagen GLI, the Jetta GLI, even a GTI perhaps. And when you look at those cars, I just think the package that you get with the Elantra N as a whole just beats out all of those vehicles. I think that there's other pros and cons to those cars. It kind of, like with the Subaru, for example, you're going to get all-wheel drive. You can't get all-wheel drive with this. I think in the Kia, you can get all-wheel drive as well. The Kia K5 GT has a little bit more power, but it doesn't come with the N modes and some of the performance features that the Elantra N has. Same thing with the GTI and the GLI. They're just a little bit, they don't make the same kind of power. They don't have the same kind of performance. I don't think their interiors are as good. And they're all kind of priced around the same. So I think when you look at it from that perspective, it's hard to beat the Elantra N. Now, obviously, I'm biased. I own the Elantra N, but that's the car that I decided to buy. But I think from an objective standpoint, if you're shopping these vehicles, it's hard to beat what you get in this car, with this car, for the money. Now, and I'm also talking strictly about new cars. I'm not talking about a used vehicle or whatever. But I think for a new vehicle, for $35,000, it's hard to beat what you get with the Elantra. Alright guys, that's going to wrap things up for today's video. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts are on the Elantra N, how you think it stacks up against the competition. If you're kind of shopping for a car in this segment, are you considering this vehicle? Or if you own an Elantra N already, let me know some of your thoughts. What do you like or dislike about this car? If you like this video, definitely make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content coming from my Elantra N, definitely hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys all so much for watching, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.